You are listening to the 90 Days Later podcast with Anna Charles, episode 82. Welcome to the 90 Days Later podcast, where I show you how to stop over drinking in 90 days without missing out on life. If you're not an alcoholic, but fed up with saying yes to a drink when you mean to say no, you're in the right place. Today, I'm going to talk about the phrase, I'll start tomorrow. Right? So specifically, I'll start changing my drinking tomorrow. Very familiar with this one. Brings back a lot of memories. I think this is going to be good. So I want to paint the picture for you. This is what usually happens that I see, at least for myself, and I see in people who approach me about coaching. You decide you're going to change your drinking. You really are this time. No question, but it's nearly the evening. Right, so a little bit too late. You don't want to maybe start today. And you're drinking as usual, last hurrah, all of that jazz. But this really is the last evening. You won't be doing this tomorrow because tomorrow you're going to start. Right, I'm going to start tomorrow. But then we fast forward to tomorrow, and what do we find? I remember being in this position, and here's some of the stuff that would come up. I'd be saying to myself, I don't feel like doing this at all. I'm not even remotely motivated to start today, or I'm just not ready. It's been such a stressful day. I will start again tomorrow instead. In other words, procrastination had set in. And at the base of this, right, whenever I find procrastination, there's going to be something creating a sense of fear in ourselves. And when it comes to drinking, the way I see this play out most frequently is that procrastination helps us hide from our ultimate fear of failure, right? That we're going to fail again to change our drinking, because it really is an again thing. Many people will try many things over the years. When I speak to people, our initial call, they normally give me a great long laundry list of all the things they've tried. Right? So we are feeling scared about the possibility of failing. Again, afraid you're going to pull it off. So this is what happens. If you then go into, well, I'll start tomorrow, right? Even it's already tomorrow, so now we're going to refresh that. I really am going to start tomorrow. It's a way of saying, well, I haven't officially started trying to change my drinking yet, which also means you haven't officially opened yourself up to failure. And here's the way this is really, our brain really has this on tap. If you never start something, you technically can't fail at it. So what happens is you unknowingly take what feels like the easy out. No, it's not because you're a bad person. It's just something that your brain will do to protect you from getting your hopes dashed again, from feeling like a failure again. But by trying to protect you from this, by saying I'll start tomorrow, by putting it off, you are instead guaranteeing that you will fail because you'll never even try. You will never get started if it's always tomorrow. And then in time, you're going to feel defeated, weak, and you'll be strengthening the habit, right? The habit you don't want. Your ability to drink red wine, perhaps, because that's what you're going to be practicing in the meantime until tomorrow comes. You're going to be failing ahead of time. This becomes exhausting. And it is the ultimate way of delaying your dreams. Now, this next bit, I'm going to be full on here. You may not like to hear this, but I think it has to be said. And I know this was true for me. And it was helpful for me when I realized that even though I didn't want to hear it. When we're faced with making a change in our lives, even one like changing our drinking, that we absolutely no question, hand on heart, want to do, we can deceive ourselves by trying to make the whole process seem better, right? Hence, that's our pledge that we'll start tomorrow, right? We'll delay the feeling bad till tomorrow. But then what happens? Tomorrow comes and we say, well, no, I didn't really mean that. I didn't actually mean the literal tomorrow. But that's okay. It doesn't really matter because I am going to do it. Absolutely, just not today. And by doing this to ourselves, remember this is just us and our relationship with ourselves, we make ourselves into liars. We make ourselves untrustworthy in our own eyes. And then we wonder why on earth we can't follow through. And this will likely show up in more areas of your life too. Because what's happened with this Forever Tomorrow speak is that we've created a relationship with ourselves. There's effectively self-deception, right? We're saying we're going to do it, we really are, but we kind of sort of know that we won't, or at least not in the very near term. But I want you to consider the opposite. I want you to consider that when we make a promise to ourselves, I am going to do this, and then we go ahead and do that, that is how we build confidence and trust in ourselves. And then consider what would be the outcome of that. What happens the more we trust our ability? Right, we're going to go into the world, we're going to ask ourselves what's possible, we're going to delight ourselves in our own capability. And since accomplishing this for myself, right, since changing my relationship with alcohol at such a deep level, I can hand on heart say there has never, ever been a time when drinking alcohol, for instance at a wedding, could compare to seeing what I was capable of creating for myself. The two, there's just no comparison. But you deny yourself those opportunities to see who you really are, who you can really become, and what you can create in this world when you lie to yourself, right? And for any of you out there saying, okay, it sounds good, but I don't know how to do this, right? I'm doing this. I'm saying I'll start tomorrow, and I know I won't, but I don't trust myself. I can't move forward from this. So here is the process. Here's what you do. You manage your mind. Now, you might have heard that before. What does that mean, manage my mind? But I want you to notice your thoughts. I want you to choose them deliberately. I want you to anticipate the fact that you are not going to want to start doing this. All right? When tomorrow comes around, that next evening, you're not going to want to not have the drink. You know it's going to come. You know it's not going to feel good. And you know you're not going to want to do it, right? Just be aware of those obstacles. Because I truly believe we need to learn to manage discomfort instead of answering it by giving in. We need to keep taking massive action and to take different action as needed to create different results. We don't want to accept our own excuses, our own justifications. Because otherwise, if we don't do this, if we just keep giving in to ourselves, your brain is going to start to look for more and more opportunities to drink too much wine out of habit, right? You reinforce the habit that you truly don't want. So what you really need to do is you just need to be ready to get started. You have to be ready to hate how you're going to feel and the results that you're going to create initially. You're going to overdrink. You're not going to follow through. You're going to do all the things. Right? You're going to go back to that all or nothing. You're going to blame yourself. You get all of those things. Because if you're not willing to be bad at something, you're never going to do it. Because you're absolutely going to be bad. And then what happens if you never do something? You never get good at it. Right? So you probably know this. You likely know you can't just, think your way to a new relationship with alcohol. You are going to have to take action, which you absolutely are. But there is a difference between intellectually knowing this and actually physically living through it. What's so much more important than perfect is simply a willingness to feel the negativity, right? And is be willing to actually really not enjoy what you're doing and just to do it. That's how you will start creating results for yourself. I do want to mention here other people, because yes, they come into the I'll do it tomorrow conversation, right? I talk a lot about other people on the podcast and how we often don't take action because of them, or more accurately, because of what we think they will say or think about us, right? Like they might call us boring or a buzzkill and so on. But we know this, and I will remind you, we never actually know what they're thinking. Even if they tell us what they're thinking, we don't know still. They could be lying. So ultimately, it's only our thoughts about what other people are thinking that are holding us back. And here's the central question. Do you really want others to be in control of what you think? Do you really want to be paying more attention to what you think someone else is thinking than what you actually think? What is the impact of not getting started and then spinning out and worrying what others think? Next, let's talk about the right time. Because this is where the concept of tomorrow, as in 24 hours in advance, where that gets expanded to accommodate any future situation, event, circumstance, whatever. I can't start drinking less until after Jill's wedding. I mean, she's going to have on-tap champagne there, right? I can't start this process until after the children are back in school and therefore my routine's back to some semblance of normality. Can't start until after the holiday, until after things have settled down at home, until after Christmas. Side note on this one of my lovely clients started working with me just before Christmas last year, right slap bang before the festive season of parties and get-togethers, surrounded by all the temptation. She amazed herself at just how much progress she was able to make in such circumstances. And this really, I think, helped to underscore that she was capable of changing her drinking, right? Because if she could learn to drink less at Christmas of all times of year, well, she could certainly learn to drink less at any other time. So if you're listening to this and you really know you really are wanting to change your drinking, I want you to remember, especially if you're feeling a bit hesitant and if you're using the tomorrow words, right, verbiage, I want you to remember that what we practice is what we get better at. So if you're practicing drinking wine at the moment, if you do that today and then you do it tomorrow, instead of starting making the changes, you're just getting better at drinking wine. But here's how this translates more broadly into your relationship with alcohol. If you are practicing giving up on yourself by leaving it till tomorrow and then not doing it tomorrow and then saying tomorrow again, you, my friend, are getting better at giving up on yourself and leaving it until tomorrow. If you're practicing justifying why you're going to start tomorrow instead, you're getting better at justifying why you're going to start tomorrow. You're developing skills that are going to help you give up on yourself in the future. So, what's the solution? I want to leave you with some practical and pragmatic thoughts and actions you can start with. Instead of talking about this for tomorrow, if that's you, let's change the timeline. Ask yourself instead, what is something you can do today to move forward? Maybe it is simply identifying the excuses that come up, right, rather than taking action today. So identify those excuses and then go ahead and do the thing anyway. Do it without the confidence. Find some way of thinking about yourself that drives you in service. You don't even need to believe that you're capable. Just find something that motivates you forward, that makes you feel a little bit better about yourself, that gives you the strength to show up. Commit to knowing that answer, right? Not figuring it out. And if you're not sure, if you say, I don't know, go into yourself and ask yourself, well, what would I say if I did know? And then back yourself that in that moment, you're always going to have a good enough answer, right? This doesn't have to be perfect. If we keep putting things off until we know the answers, we're never going to get started. Moving forward is more important than doing it right. Remember that. Because then you move forward, do something today. You can test it. Just trying this out. Get out there and make a move. And then you can evaluate tomorrow what you just did. Right? What worked, what didn't work, what would you do differently? Because now you have an idea of what to do next. Don't let yourself get confused. Because I want to offer that all the stuff that's going to come up between you and your goal is supposed to be there, right? All the questions, all the feelings of doubt, all the mistakes, all of it. This is what makes you stronger. We talk about this being the journey, and that can sometimes feel a bit highfalutin, but really it's meant to be there. That's how we learn. And it's by working through these obstacles, that's what makes you the person that is aligned with the result in the end. That's how you become the person you want to become. Nothing has gone wrong if you feel overwhelmed by all this stuff. It was always meant to be there. This is the price that makes you into the person you're becoming. All right, the person who doesn't go around saying, I'm going to start tomorrow. For anything in their life, not just when it comes to changing your drinking. And here's a fun little tactic I'm going to leave you with that has the word tomorrow in it that actually really does work. If you ever find yourself in the moment looking for a loophole as to how you can have a drink tonight, right? How you can justify it for yourself. When you had decided you were going to go alcohol free, or you're only going to have the one glass, you've already had that. That's when I can offer, if you say to yourself, look, I can have it tomorrow. I can choose to have that glass of wine tomorrow. I'm just not going to have it today. I'm going to have it tomorrow. The wine is going to be there tomorrow. Right? Telling yourself this, doing this will release the struggle. It can release you from the fear, this whole fear of missing out and deprivation. Yeah, you might still feel some of that, but actually you're saying to yourself, look, we can have it tomorrow. It's totally fine. It's not a problem. We're just not going to have it today. And then, of course, when tomorrow rolls around and you don't want the drink that you promised yourself yesterday, you actually don't have to drink it. That brings up a whole other kettle of fish sometimes, but nonetheless, that's where telling yourself you can have it tomorrow can help. So all of this, my friends, this whole podcast has been about just backing yourself to take action now. Just start, right? Don't leave it till tomorrow. And I will offer that the ultimate in not being confused and taking action is actually to work with me, right? I've been where you are now. I've achieved the transformation, and not just for me, but for many others too. I will support you. It will not be lonely. I can help you get there quicker. So if you're ready to start work now, you're not going to leave this till tomorrow, you can reach me by booking your free consultation call at 90dayslater.co. And I'm telling you this, I'll end on this, by taking action to deal with this thing in your life, so I used to call the drinking thing, you're going to develop so much self-confidence from your willingness to take action and to course correct. It's not rocket science, it's not difficult. It's simple. But it's not always what your brain wants to do. But hey, that's okay, because you are a person who's developing trust in themselves, who does what they say they will. And I'll see you next week. If you like what you're learning in the podcast and you want to take the work further and achieve total freedom around alcohol, let's talk. I help my clients stop reaching for that first glass of wine the moment 6 p.m. rolls around and they don't miss out on life. And we do it in 90 days. The effect is permanent. Email me for more information on anna@90dayslater.co. And if you did enjoy the show, I'd really appreciate if you'd leave a rating and review to help others find the 90 Days Later podcast.